Okay, so guys, let's start with this chapter, reflection of light. You've done some part of most of this chapter again in the 7th and 8th standard also. So again, it's a very simple chapter, very simple, straightforward, a few numericals, and most of the chapter is based on the ray diagram. So you have to be really good at your drawings in this chapter. Now, let's say out here, this is a. Let's start with what do you mean by reflection first. So what do you mean by reflection? The bouncing back of light after striking a smooth polished surface is called as reflection. So say, for example, okay, so say this is a this is a mirror. Now how do they make a mirror first? So it's like I just take a normal transparent glass and then they paint it silver from behind. So those lines which I have drawn out here now, those are that shows a silvering of the mirror. So this is how they silver or they polish a mirror. Now say there is a ray of light which is approaching the mirror. So this ray of light which is approaching the mirror is called as what? Incident ray. And after striking this surface, it will reflect back or it will bounce back. So that light ray which bounces back or reflected back is called as what? Reflected ray. So I'll just tell you all the points now. See, first this is called as what? Incident ray. This point where it strikes the mirror is called as what? Point of incidence. Okay. Then this ray out here we call it as what? Normal. So what's a normal? Normal is a line which is perpendicular to the mirror or to the surface. You can draw a dotted line in your picture. I have drawn a dark color green line. And the ray which bounces back is called as what? Reflected ray. So this ray is called as reflected ray. Now the angle which is formed between the incident ray and the normal, that is called as what? Angle of incidence. Now this angle is same way called as what? Angle of reflection. So they can ask you all these terms. What do you mean by incident ray or reflected ray? What do you mean by normal? Angle of incidence, angle of reflection. Now what do you mean by plane of incidence? So the plane which contains the incident ray and the normal is called as plane of incidence. Same way, what do you mean by plane of reflection? The plane which contains the reflected ray and the normal is called as plane of reflection. Okay, so these are the few terms which they may ask you in the exams to define. And there are also two very important laws of reflection. Now, what are the two laws of reflection? So, the first law states that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So, every time there is a reflection, it will be what? Angle of incidence will be equal to what? Angle of reflection. And the second law states that the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal at the point of incidence, the incident ray, reflected ray, and the normal at the point of incidence, they all lie in the same plane. Is it clear? So they all lie in the same plane. What do you mean by same plane? So right now you can see in the above figure, I have drawn incident ray, normal, and the reflected ray on the same page, right? That basically means the same plane. So if I'm drawing this whole diagram on a board, basically board is a plane. So it means they are all lie in the same plane. Okay. Now next thing, when are you able to view any object? Okay. So when can you view any object? If the light rays from that object are reflected back into your eyes or they just enter into your eye, then only you'll be able to see that object. Now there are two types of objects. So there are some objects which are luminous and the ones which that are non-luminous. Now what do you mean by luminous objects? Luminous objects are those which will be able to emit their own light, is called as luminous. What do you mean by non-luminous now? So non-luminous meaning those that they do not emit their own light, but they reflect light from other sources, and that's why they are visible. Correct? So that's the difference between the luminous and the non-luminous. Now how can you or when can you see any object? So when the light will fall on any object, it will reflect the light and the light enters back into your eyes. only then you're able to see those objects. So if the light is reflected from an object but it does not enter into your eye, you will not be able to see that object. Okay. Now guys, now we'll discuss what are the, okay, one more very important thing. Remember that whenever the light ray is falling normally on the surface, whenever a light ray is falling normally on a surface, that time, okay, that is, it is making a 90 degree with this mirror. So at that time, what is the angle of incidence? The angle of incidence is equal to 0 degree. What's the angle of reflection? Even that is equal to what? 0 degree. Now, why is it 0 degree? So see, let's say here we had a incident ray. Okay, let's say this is a, I have this red color incident ray. Now what we'll do is, you start moving this incident ray closer to the normal. As you start moving it closer to the normal, what will you notice? What will happen to the angle of incidence? It will decrease. So the angle of incidence will keep on decreasing, and when this normal, okay, when this will coincide, when this normal will coincide, we are moving this incident ray, right, closer, so the angle will keep on decreasing. But when this normal and incident ray are coinciding, what will be the angle formed between them? 0 degree. Why? Because now there is no angle formed only between them, that's why. Okay. So remember, very important question, usually people mess up in this. They write always what? 90 degree for this. Okay. Now, okay, now next thing. Now about the kinds of reflection. So there are two types of reflection. Okay. There is one which is called as a regular reflection, and the other one is called as a irregular reflection. So regular reflection and irregular reflection. Now what is the difference between them? So in regular reflection, what happens is that if your surface, okay, let's say this is a mirror out here. Okay, so say this is our, once again I'll just do the silvering also. So let's say this is a mirror here, and for irregular, this is how your mirror is, meaning it is not a plain mirror basically, and it may be a rough surface, like for example say wood, wall, a paper in your notebook, road. So anything which is not highly polished and all, it basically is what? Irregular surface. Now what is the concept now? That in regular reflection out here, let's say there's an incident ray 1. Okay, I'm drawing a few incident light rays. Now if you notice, all these light rays are what? Parallel to each other. Now same way here also, I'll draw incident ray here also. So say 1, 2 and 3. I have drawn 3 incident rays here also. Now all these incident rays, they are what? All parallel to each other. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Second thing, now the reflected ray. Now what happens in a regular reflection? So in regular reflection, your light rays will be reflected back. But what will you notice? That when they are reflected back, your reflected light rays are also what? Parallel. Whereas in irregular case, your reflected rays are not parallel to each other. So see, let's say the first ray went like this. Say this is how your first ray went. Your second ray is going this way. The third ray is going even somewhere further like this. So let's say for example, this is your, I'll just mark different arrows so you can make out the lines easily. So that's your first line, that's your second line, and this is your third line. Whereas here also, this is your first line, that's your second line, and that's your third line. Got it? So what did you notice out here? That here the incident rays are parallel in the first figure, whereas in the second case the incident light rays are parallel but the reflected rays are not parallel. In the first one, incident light rays are parallel and even the reflected rays are parallel. Okay, that's the first observation. Second thing, regular reflection will take place on which surface? It will take place on smooth polished surface, whereas irregular reflection will take place on a plane, sorry, it will take place on a rough surface. Next thing, we can say that in regular reflection the light rays will travel into a fixed direction. Okay, they travel in a definite or in a fixed direction, and you can see it only from a particular direction. Whereas in irregular reflection the light rays basically get what, diffused, meaning what, they will travel randomly in any direction. So they don't travel in any particular direction, they will travel in any direction. Okay, now so they can ask you guys to differentiate between them on the basis of the diagram, or also just differentiate between them. So I'll repeat once again. In regular reflection, if the incident light rays are parallel, reflected light rays are also parallel. Whereas in case of irregular, even if the incident light rays are parallel, the reflected rays are not parallel. Number two, in regular reflection the light rays are reflected into a fixed direction, whereas in irregular they are getting diffused, meaning they go into any direction. Clear? So when we say looking at ourselves in a mirror, we are making use of what kind of reflection? Regular reflection. When we are using it in the daily life for rest of the thing, like looking at the objects around us for the whole day, that is the irregular reflection. Okay, so these are the differences between them. Now I'll tell you one point which is not true, but a lot of people, they by mistake they write this. They say that in regular reflection angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection, whereas in irregular reflection they are saying angle of incidence is not equal to angle of reflection. Remember, that's a wrong statement. It's a law of reflection, so everybody have to follow that law. So in both cases the angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Only what happens is that in irregular surfaces, because the surface is irregular, what will happen? Your normal, basically your normal itself is not, okay, look, your normal itself is not parallel to each other. Your normal will keep on changing its angle. Why does it change its angle? Because the surface is not plane. So every time you will not get a 90 degree at that point only. Is it clear? So you can see your normals are at different angles in this case. So like you can say this is your normal here, this is your another normal here, and this is your another normal. Okay, this is just a rough sketch, guys. It's not a perfect diagram. Okay, now let's go further. Now guys, we'll learn about the difference between the real image and the virtual image. Now see, right now we'll do the difference between real and virtual image. But when you do the ray diagrams of mirrors, spherical mirror, concave, convex, okay, at that time it will be easier for you to understand better. So I'll tell you about what is a real and virtual image now. I'll just share that one table. They've given a table of differentiation in your textbook. Okay, I'll just share that first right now. Okay, so guys, out here now, this is for the difference between the real and the virtual image. Here, okay, see now. So what's the difference between both of them, between the real and the virtual image? So in the real image now, let's say out here, one sec. Okay, so first see, a real image is form how it is formed due to the actual intersection of light rays. So the light rays will actually intersect and then the real image will be formed. Whereas in case of virtual images, the light rays do not meet each other. They just appear to meet each other when they are produced backwards. Got it? The reflected rays meet each other only when they are produced backwards. Next thing, that a real image can be obtained on the screen. You can obtain a real image on a screen, whereas a virtual image, remember, it cannot be obtained on a screen. What do you mean not obtained on a screen? So when you look at yourself in a mirror, you can see your image. That's a virtual image. But when you go for a movie, okay, when you go for a movie, that time what kind of image is formed on the screen in the cinema hall? That's a real image. So there the image is formed on the screen. Then real image is inverted. So real images are always inverted with respect to the object. So it will always appear upside down. Whereas a virtual image is always erect. So when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we can see ourselves properly, right? Because it's a erect image. And concave mirror or plane mirrors can form, concave can form a real image. Virtual image can be formed by concave mirror, convex mirror and plane mirror also. Okay, so there's a little mistake I think here. They have given the image formed by a plane mirror or by a convex mirror, so that's wrong. Even concave mirror can form a virtual image, guys. So remember that. Okay, now next thing is about the lateral inversion. Now what do you mean by lateral inversion? So lateral inversion means what now? That the left, when you stand in front of a mirror, okay, when you stand in front of a mirror, the left of your object may appear to be what? The left of an object may appear to be right. Okay, the left of an object appears to be right in an image. That is called as what? Lateral inversion. Got it? I'll repeat once again. The interchange of left and right of an object in an image is called as what? Lateral inversion. Fine. Now, so again, let's see here. I've done the silvering here. So we'll be placing the object where? On the left side. I've just drawn one huge mirror out here. Now see, you will have to learn about certain words in your, you need to do for your, what do you call, they can ask you in the exams like ambulance, Polex, they might give any other word also actually, but I'll just show you some of them. Like say, if I write over here, if I write this word Polex here. So when I write this word Polex, what will you notice, that this X will be formed over here, but you will not see any inversion because it's a symmetrical alphabet. Your E will get what? Interchanged. Then look at this L, then O, and then P here. Okay, now there is a mistake in what I have drawn in P. Rest all is proper, only in P there is a mistake. So P will appear, how again? Laterally inverted like this. It looks something like 9. Got it? Whenever you are drawing this, make sure that you also maintain the similar distance. Like see, look at the distance from X to the mirror. Try to maintain a similar distance, same distance, almost the same from mirror to the first alphabet. Got it? That is the first one. Second one, if you want to try, you can just look at the object, draw it yourself first, and then look at the answer. So if it is say ambulance, AMBULANCE, how will ambulance appear over here? So first we'll have our guys out here, E, then there will be C, N is a bit tough, then A symmetrical, L, U symmetrical, B inverted, then M will remain same and A will also remain same. So now if you hold this, if you keep a mirror in front of it now, the one which I'm writing here on the right side, you will be able to read this clearly in your mirror, and you won't be able to read this in the mirror. Why? Because again there is going to be what? Lateral inversion. Now if you've seen, how do they write ambulance in the front of an ambulance? They always write it like this. Why? so that when a person who's driving ahead, when he'll see this ambulance, in his rear view mirror, he will be able to read it properly, like how I wrote on the left side, and hence then he can make way for the ambulance to go further. Okay, so that is the reason they write it like this. Now guys, in the next one, we'll take another example now. Next example. Okay guys, I want you all to try for this now. Write for atom. How will the inversion appear? Try for this, and then also try for this word physics. P H Y S I C S. Did you all finish for atom? See, for atom, how will it appear? You will write what first? M O T A. So actually all of them are symmetrical. So nothing happens except that the alphabets get reversed. So atom will become mota. Then in physics, again first what happened? S will appear to be what? Laterally inverted. Then C. Then I. S. Y. Then H. Then P. Guys, now, so usually they always ask you lateral inversion this way, but see, there was another way, one more way you can write the lateral inversion. I mean, they can ask you one more way. See, this one gets a little tough. If they'll ask you this way, it will be actually a little tough to draw for it. So say I have got another word here. I've got a mirror here. I'll write it like this. Say this is your silvering done here. Let's say if I write this word physics here. So P H Y S I C S. Write the lateral inversion on your own. You can pause the video and then again check your answer. So this one is actually tough. I mean, I doubt more than 25-30% people get this correct. So first your P will come how? Like this. Then you will have a H here. Then Y. Then your S will be like this. Then I. Then C. And then again S. Okay, so these are how physics will appear. So there's a difference when you do a word laterally, I mean you invert it laterally in a vertical mirror or in a horizontal mirror. So be careful when they give you in the question. Okay, now guys, next thing is about the characteristics now. So what are the characteristics of the image formed in a plane mirror? So there are 4 or 5 characteristics which you need to know of the image. These are the characteristics of an image which is formed in a plane mirror. Now see, let's say the first characteristic, the first characteristic is that the image which is formed is a virtual image. Okay, we already discussed what do you mean by virtual image. So the image formed is always a virtual image, meaning a plane mirror can never form only a real image. Number 2, if it's a virtual image, also remember it is going to be an erect image, because virtual images are always erect, or they also called as what? Upright images. Number 3, the image which is formed is laterally inverted. The image formed is laterally inverted. Number 4 is that the image which is formed is also of the same size. Number 5 is that the object distance will also always be equal to the image distance, meaning whatever is the distance of the object from the mirror, same would be the distance of the image from the mirror. So your object distance is always equal to what? Image distance. Clear? Okay, so they may ask you these characteristics. Now guys, the last thing that you have in this A part of the chapter is that there are 2 drawings are there. Okay, now I'll try to show you those drawings. A little tough to draw here on the digitally. I'll try to make an attempt. At least I'll explain you the method how they have drawn. So you can also draw it then, similarly in your notebook. So guys, draw properly with a ruler and pencil. Okay, don't draw with a pen. directly or a rough sketch. It will help you in the exams, trust me. Now guys, let's say out here we've drawn a plane mirror, then there is an object over here. So let's say I'll mark an object here O. Okay, now what we'll do, always in these drawings now, what you should do, if you want to get more accurate answer, we'll follow a cheating method, manipulate it and then draw. So mark the, this is an object, mark the image of the object before and only down here. Okay, you can draw it here only. Now always mark the image down. Now how to mark the image? So this your object distance will be equal to what? Your image distance. Remember, O and I will always be what? Equal. Clear? So now let's start. Guys, I am just removing all this because this line we will not draw. We will basically be drawing what? Only this point out here. So how we drew a point here up for an O, I'll draw another point here down, that is your I. You to get it now, your point I have to be vertically below the point O. Okay, so vertically below O and also at the same distance. Now from point I, you can start drawing the rays now. So first what I'm going to do, I am drawing first the incident rays. So if you'll check in your textbook, they have given a few dotted lines. So I can't draw those dotted lines here properly, so I'm drawing the green color line. Okay, so these lines which are in green, they are supposed to be what? Basically dotted line. So you have to just take any two light rays here, dotted. Then follow the path of this light ray in a straight line. But now how are you going to draw them as a dark line now. So it should look like one particular line only, one straight line. I am drawing it in two parts. You can actually draw it in one part only, in one shot. Keep your ruler, whatever is in green, draw dotted and then make it a straight line out. Same with the next one also. So same way, even the next one will come like this. Okay. Now start from the point O and let the light rays meet to this point. That is your incident ray. So guys, see, we are actually drawing the incident light rays last. Okay, and here is your ray diagram now. Now let's mark the arrow. So this is your arrow of incident ray, and that's your reflected ray. Again, this is your incident ray, and that's your reflected ray. Clear? And we need to show what? Silvering of the mirror. Also, one more thing that we should have drawn here is the normal. So we will also need what? Normal over here. So I'll draw the normals also out here. So look, this is your normal 1 here, and then that's your normal 2. So show both the normals also in the figure. So done with the diagram. This is what diagram? But then, sorry, I forgot to tell you only what are we drawing here. So we are showing the formation of image. Okay, look, we are showing what? Formation of image of a point object. Formation of image of a point object. Okay. Now the next diagram which we are doing is what? Formation of image for an extended object. Okay, what do you mean by extended object? So when an object is more than a point, then it is called as what? Extended object. So formation of image of an extended object, Now let's see how to do this one now. Okay, again I'll first draw the mirror, guys. This time we are drawing it vertically. Okay, in your textbook also they've given vertically, so I'm following the same method. So we'll first draw the mirror. So this is your mirror here. Okay, I've drawn it vertically. We need to show what? Silvering for this mirror. Now sorry guys, there must be some disturbance in the background now. Okay, now guys, out here we'll draw the object now. So as I said, this is an extended object, right? So I'll draw the object, say no, not this. I'll draw the object here. So I'll draw an extended object. So this is a extended object basically. Now out here, uh, so we'll mark the arrow for an extended object. Okay, let's say this object is what now? A, B. I'll name it as what? A and B. As I said again, first what we'll do, we will mark the point for the images now. Okay, so whatever is the object distance from the point B, go perpendicular to the mirror, and just behind that only we'll mark what? The point B. So that's your point B dash. You found the point A, at the equal distance a little behind you will mark what? Point A dash. And now let's join again from A to A dash to B dash. You'll get what? Your image. Guys, now the image which I'm drawing out here, I'm drawing it in green line. Okay, if you remember, how are you supposed to draw? All the green lines that I'm drawing, you are going to draw what? Dotted. So this is your image now. Okay, I have drawn the image also before, and as I told you, we are manipulating and we are drawing, so we get a perfect diagram. Now we'll have to take, let's start from the point. So how we did there for 1 point, we are going to do here for 2 points for A and B. So let's take two light rays now, two light rays which are starting from the point B. So okay, so from B I'll take one light ray, say here. 1 minute, I'll just check the thickness of the line. Yeah, so from B I'll take here one line and one more line from the point B. Then same way from point A also we are going to draw two lines. So these are your two lines here. Okay, now these light rays, they are going to get what? Reflected back. So now what we'll do, again from the point B. Okay, now we need to start drawing what? From the point B. So go to B and then draw here. Again I'll repeat, guys, whatever I'm drawing in green, they will be what? Dotted line. This is little difficult figure, guys. If you need to check this video 2-3 times, do check it. Now again what we'll do, these were the dotted lines still here. Now again we'll draw what? Normal dark lines from here. So look, this is how your normal lines will go from here. They will be in a straight line. Remember the green color line, and this is what I'm extending now. Mine may be a little data because I have drawn in two parts, that's why. I think this was a little data. So these light rays will be always diverging, guys. Remember, they cannot intersect, they will be diverging. So here one. Okay, so this is how we'll draw them. This is light ray 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so guys, this is again very important diagram. They can ask you to draw this diagram for 3 or 4 marks. Now one more extension in this diagram, guys. See now, next thing, what they can ask you to also do. They may also ask you to show the to draw, say they might give some another alphabet, like for example, we'll say if I tell you to draw P here. Okay, they may ask you to draw alphabet P here and show them. So how will you draw that? One second, I'll just show you that part. Okay, let's say if they would have told us to draw for an alphabet P, so we are going to draw the same thing here, but now what are we going to do? We have to draw this P what? Dotted. So you have to just draw it with free hand, that's all. Nothing, no need to draw anything else, no light rays or something. Just show how the alphabet P will appear over here. Okay, so guys, this finishes whole of your A part of the chapter. Now okay, there are now some numericals, guys, in this chapter. So you'll go to page number 154 in your textbook. Okay, there are few numericals given over here. I'll show you those numericals. Now what are those numericals? So see, first numerical is what? That if a light, I'll just read out the problem for you. They have given a rays incident on a plane mirror. its reflected ray is perpendicular to the incident ray. So there is an incident ray here, and then there is a reflected ray here, and the angle which is formed between them is given as what? 90 degree. And they're asking you what is the angle of incidence here. So yes, by now most of you must have got the answer also. It's not a very difficult problem, but I'll just show you how to do the working for this one. So first thing, angle of incidence plus angle of reflection is equal to 90 degree. That is what is given in the question. And I is equal to R. How do we know? Because that's the law of reflection. Correct? So angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Now what I'll do, I'll substitute R as I in the equation number 1. We'll write what? Substituting R equal to I. So 2I is equal to 90 degree, and then I is equal to what? 45 degree. Done. So that's the first problem. Okay guys, problem number 2 is very simple. I don't know if I need to do this. I don't think I need to do this actually. You all will get it on your own. A man is standing in front of a plane mirror, finds his image at 6 meters from himself. Okay, underline these words, 6 meters from himself. So what will be the distance between the man and the mirror? So if this is your mirror, what did this guy found? He found that the distance between him and his image. So here is the man and here is his image. Okay, what is the total distance between him? 6 meters. So what will be the distance on the each part? It will be what? 3 meters. So this will be 3 meters. This will also be equal to 3 meters. So we have to say that object distance is equal to what? Image distance. And that's why object distance plus image distance is equal to 6 meters. And that's why from the object to the image, it will be object to the mirror will be how much? 3 meters. Okay, problem number 3 also guys you can do on your own. It's not tough. I'll show you problem number 5 first. And guys, fourth one we'll do at the last. Fourth one is the toughest problem in this. So in the fifth one, they say there is an optician, and while testing the eyes of a patient, keeps a chart of letters 3 meters behind the patient. So here we have got a patient. There is a chart which is placed here. And what's the distance from the chart to the patient? It is given as 3 meters. And ask him to see the letters on the image of chart formed in a plane mirror, which is kept at a distance of 2 meters in front of him. So out here in front of him, so look, in front of him they have placed the mirror. Okay, what is the length of that? What is the distance at which the mirror is placed now? It is placed at a distance of 2 meters. Okay, now guys, the question is, they are asking us now where will this image of this chart be formed guys? First of all, so the image of the chart will be formed behind the mirror, right here somewhere. And how much will be this image here? Will be 5 meters. Correct, because you look properly, the distance from C to M, that is chart to the mirror, is 5 meters. So the image from mirror to chart will also be what? 5 meters. Guys, now the question is, how much is the distance of the image, that is C dash from P? So guys, look properly, how much is this distance? So it will be what? 7 meters. So that's your answer. That 7 meters is the distance. Clear? So you need to draw the diagram, and then you can write the statements in your own words and then explain them that the total distance is 7 meters. Okay, now guys, the next problem, number 4. Okay, this is a very difficult problem. It's not a difficult problem, but that's the most difficult problem out here. Now see, in the fourth one, they say that there is an object, while testing the eyes of a patient, keeps a chart of letters 3 meters behind the, sorry, I'm reading the wrong problem. An object is kept at 60 meters in front of a plane mirror. So say out here we have got a plane mirror here. This is a plane mirror. Okay, now it is also said that an object is kept 60 centimeter in front of a plane mirror. So say an object is placed out here A. Okay, at what distance is it placed? 60 centimeter. So this distance is given as 60 centimeter. So where will the image of this be formed? Obviously behind the mirror, correct? It will be formed where? Behind the mirror. Say out here, and that will be what? A dash. How much is this distance now? That is also equal to what? 60 centimeter. Now they are telling us that this image is being shifted. Okay, guys, now they are telling us that this image, sorry, not the image, the mirror is being pushed behind. The mirror from here is pushed behind to how much? The image is being pushed, the mirror is being pushed behind. Now by how much distance have they pushed the mirror behind? So they say it is pushed behind by 25 centimeter. So this is 25 centimeter, that's the distance. Clear? Okay, now what is the new distance of the object from the mirror? What is the new distance of the object from the mirror? So your object is still here only, guys. Now I'm naming it as again A here once again. And what is the distance of the image from the mirror, the new distance? So how much is this distance now? It is 60 plus 25, so it will be how much? 85 centimeter. That's the distance from here to here. Same way, now where will the image be formed? Image will be again formed what? 85 centimeter behind the mirror. So image will be formed here, right? I'll name it as A dash dash. And what will be this distance? It will be how much? 85 centimeter again. So what is this total distance now? Okay, now look at this properly. What is the total distance? What is the total distance here? 170 centimeter. What was the total distance from A to A dash? 120 centimeter. What is the difference between these two images? 50 centimeter. So that's your answer. So if they are asking you by how much distance is the image shifting, what will it be? 50 centimeter. Okay. So whatever I just spoke you write those in words. That is how the working is. And you can also refer to example number 3 in the textbook. Okay, the example 3 in the textbook is exactly the same problem. Okay, only that the numbers are changed. Okay, that's all. Otherwise it's exactly the same problem. So follow that example number 3 out there. Okay, so this finishes our A part of the chapter now. Guys, in the B part, you have to only learn about, you don't have how to find the number of images. You have to learn the uses of a plane mirror. So those uses are also simple. Even if you read, you will get it. Like the first one, I'll just show you that on one sec. So guys, see now, these are the uses of a plane mirror. Now, so the first use is that it is used as a looking glass. Like for example, when you get up, when you want to get up ready and all, so we need to look at ourselves. So that time we are using mirror as a looking glass. That's the first use. Second thing, it is used as an optician's room. This is very, very important. They can ask you for give reason also. Why do they use an optician's room? To increase the effective length. We already discussed in the last problem how they increase the effective length. So when they place a mirror in front of you, the image of the chart is from that many feet, that much distance behind the mirror. So that helps you in increasing the distance between you and the mirror. So then third one, it is used in the barber shop. How do they use it in the barber shop? To check the hair at the back of the head. So after a haircut, they usually take another mirror and keep it behind to show you how it looks. Then number 4, in a periscope. If you know, in a periscope, it is used to see, it is used in a submarine, okay, to see the movement of the ships on the surface, or even in wars, or some people, short people, can also use it when they go in a crowded place, like to watch a match or something. So they can make use of a periscope there. So now in a periscope, there are two parallel plane mirrors are there, and they are inclined at an angle of 45 degree with the vertical walls. Okay. Then a kaleidoscope. So kaleidoscope is more like a fun instrument. If you might have made a kaleidoscope yourself, or if you bought a kaleidoscope, you'll see, usually they keep some pieces of bangles inside it or some beads, and when you keep on turning that kaleidoscope, it'll keep forming different patterns. So in kaleidoscope, basically what we do is that there are three plane mirrors are used, and they are at an angle of 60 degree with respect to each other. Okay. And that's why it is used to just check what different designs of patterns in the kaleidoscope. And the last one is, it is used as a solar heating devices such as a solar cooker. So actually it is not used so widely in solar heating devices because we make use of other mirrors like concave mirror. They are better reflectors and all, that's why. Okay. So yeah, these are the uses of the plane mirror. Okay, they may also ask you for give reason. Now I'll tell you which ones they can ask you for give reason. So this one you need to learn for, they can ask you for give reason number 2, important one. Okay, rest all I don't see they ask for give reason, but they are also important. Now guys, the next thing is the image formation. So when you stand in front of a mirror, we see only one image of ourselves. But when you're standing in front of a plane mirror, when you're standing in front of two mirrors which are parallel to each other, then the number of images which are formed is not one. Okay, in fact, if the two mirrors are parallel to each other, remember, if there are two parallel mirrors, the number of images which are formed, they are what? Number of images are infinite. Okay, you cannot count, only so many number of images are formed. You must have noticed this, when you go to a trial room, when you go to malls and if you're trying different clothes and all, you see there are mirrors are parallel to each other and you can see multiple images out there. Okay, so that's why those are the number of images formed when the two mirrors are parallel to each other. So in this one now, you need to only learn whatever I've marked there in the textbook. Don't learn everything out there. So you don't have the number of images how to calculate. It's not there in your portion. The diagrams, yes, they may ask you to draw the diagrams. Okay, not very important from both point of view, but yeah, you still learn because it is mentioned in your portion that you need to know them. And the another case of mirrors is what? Two perpendicular mirrors. So if two perpendicular mirrors are used, meaning what's the angle between them? If the two mirrors are perpendicular, then what's the angle between them? So the angle between them is equal to what? 90 degree. What was the angle here between them? 0 degree, because they are parallel. Now number of images formed when the two mirrors are perpendicular is equal to 3. There are 3 images formed when the mirrors are perpendicular. So guys, see here I've put a picture over here. So here we are using two mirrors. So in the left image here, if you notice in the left image here, what I'm doing is, in this case, what I've done is that there's a candle which is placed at the corner of the two mirrors which are perpendicular. And you see how many candles you can see right now in that image? There are 4 candles. So one of them is the object itself. So how many images are formed? 3 images are formed. Okay. Now in this figure on the right side, I have shown the formation of the image. So see how it starts now. First look, this is the object P here. One of the image of the object P will be through this mirror, which will go here, P2. Another image will be what? Perpendicular through this mirror, that is what? P1. And the third image is what? If you start from here, you draw a line through this diagonal, it will come here, P3. If they ask you how to draw it, so check the figure now. First you will take 2 light rays here. Then what will happen? They will reflect back. And again from here they have reflected back. Got it? But when you produce these rays backwards, they'll go and meet at this point. When you produce this ray backwards, they are going to meet at this point. And that's how these images are formed. Okay. So see, P2 is very simple, straight line. Even this P1 is very simple. Only for this P3 you have to show all this working, like reflex here, and reflex here. Now whether you have to draw or not, you can once again confirm with your school teachers also whether they will ask you to draw this or not. Okay, and guys, here is the image formation for two parallel mirrors. So in these ones, again, these are the mirrors, so I need to show this silvering out here. Okay, and here also. Now again, if you start over here, let's say there's an object P. Okay, so this is an object P. Where will the image of this object P is formed? Here behind the mirror I1. Now this image I1 is actually an object for the mirror M1, correct? So image of this I1 will be formed where? Here behind the mirror I2. Again, image of this object I2 is this image is an object for M. So again this will get reflected and you'll get another image I3, and that's how this process will continue. So again, the drawing is simple. What you should do, first mark the point P, then mark its image. Say this is 2, for example, mirror to P is say 2 centimeter. So we'll mark a point 2 centimeter behind. Now from I1 to M1 is say 5 centimeter. So we'll draw the image behind it, what, 5 centimeter. Now from I2 to M is say 8 centimeter. So we'll draw from M to I3 8 centimeter. What to do after that? Then you just start. See, from point P you just draw any two light rays. Then again just dotted and then straight line out. Again from here dotted and then straight line out. Again dotted and straight line out. Okay, you'll get this figure then. Got it? So usually the figures which I mentioned earlier, point object and extent object, those are asked in the exams. But in some of the school exams, in last year in prelim, they had asked some of these diagrams also. Okay, but yeah, and the numericals, guys, are not there in this chapter. Again, you can confirm with your school teachers also. If they say yes, then we'll do it. Otherwise, you don't need to do those numericals. Okay, so we'll close it here, guys.